Okay, we'll call to order and take roll call attendance. Ms. Garcia is absent. Ms. Conley is absent. Ms. Rizzi?
Present.
Ms. Kimball?
Present.
And I'm present. So we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 1.3, adoption of the agenda. Would somebody like to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
Madam President, so moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none. Ms. Rizzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kimball?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that motion passes with a vote of 3-0. Board meeting minutes not previously approved. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the board meeting minutes not previously approved?
Madam President, I motion to approve the board meeting minutes not previously approved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Ms. Rizzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kimball?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that motion passes with a vote of 3-0. All right, current events governing board report. Would anyone like to start?
I'm good, thank you.
Not a whole lot going on right now.
No, there's not. I mean, other than I guess I could say I'm thankful that we don't know of any positive
Right.
people in our district family, so that's good. Hopefully that stays true.
Mm-hmm.
Superintendent's report.
As you are all aware, the schools are closed until April 10th, so we may be returning as early as April 13th, and we will continue to work with our Arizona Department of Education and the governor's office to determine what those next steps are. I do have a plan of action that I will share with you later on in this agenda. But I do want to make sure that we have recognitions that were supposed to take place tonight for Cactus Canyon Junior High. We were going to recognize our state wrestler, Andy Chung, and the donation she received from the Gold Canyon Methodist Church. There are a lot of recognitions that were in place that we are postponing at this point. So just so everyone knows that we adore and we are so grateful for our staff and our students, and we would really like to recognize them. But until we have a better idea of COVID-19 and the safety of our students and our staff, we are going to postpone them until further notice.
No public comments. Consent agenda. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any? Ms. Rizzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kimball?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that motion passes with a vote of 3-0. So we'll move on down to Apache Junction course offerings.
I came this evening to speak with you about.
I'm going to ask that you come just a little bit closer because we have the two microphones here. So maybe if you're in the middle a little bit, that would help out. Thank you.
I came this evening to speak with you about 3 new courses we'd like to offer for next year. Looking at the course offerings that we have currently at the high school, we felt like there was a need in certain areas for certain targeted student groups to be able to bring them possibilities of earning elective credits in different areas. So the first credit that we were discussing is a career exploration program, or it's basically a work experience program. This program is built on the idea that a school to work transition is a very valuable transition for students to make, and it also takes in the fact that a lot of our students in their possibly late junior year or early senior year do actually get a job, and we have several students who actually work and are responsible for helping to support within their family. So we wanted to be able to bolster their skills, their work-related skills, not only in how they know how to get a job, but what the laws are regarding getting a job, how to do a resume, how to do a thank you letter, how to do an online, application, how to interview, and this would couple along with, some other things that we do in sophomore English or that we do, but it would be specifically geared towards juniors or seniors. It would only be available through counselors who would know where the student was in the process towards graduation, and it would only satisfy an elective credit, so it could be offered. It wouldn't take, the way that I've used it before in previous school districts is that the counselors handle it and they collect all of the information, because there has to be an application that's approved by the employer. The employer has to do an evaluation. The student also does an evaluation of the workplace. The student has to turn in 128 certified hours to earn the credit, plus there's a list of written assignments as well. And so it can be repeated one time so that they could actually get a whole credit for it, but each semester is worth a half. And we felt like that 128 hours was reasonable for a student who's a full-time high school student. And so that would be a career exploration program. And this falls in line with programs that are offered in most of the neighboring school districts. And I don't, having not been here previously, we didn't have one, but we spoke about doing this in order to, number one, give our students that extra success that they need in the job. There can be mentorship involved with it. There can be, community relationships being built with employers hiring our students and knowing we can have a job board set up. I mean, there's a lot of different directions that we can go to work for this, and we find that as one of the choices for our students to go to college, to go to the military, to go into the world of work, to go to community college, that the transition to the world of work is an area where we feel like we need a class to use for that credit. So
it would follow them through the actual application process. They would actually get a job, and then those job hours would apply to that 128 hours?
Correct. And the only way that they can get the credit is to have the 128 hours. So if they quit a job, if they decide that that job's not for them, then they would not be doing credit. And this would not be within their, this would be an elective credit. So it would be something that would fill one of their 6 elective slots. And again, mostly we're talking about seniors, possible junior who is ahead and has their requireds out of the way and is really looking towards going to a job-related career afterwards, might want to work while they're helping to pay for college. These are all things that we're trying to work on to build the skills for our students. And in these folders, I actually have copies of the curriculum, if anybody wants to see that. The second class that we are proposing is a personal...
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, super excited about this career exploration. This is just awesome. You said that they would actually be working. What about in, say, a type of career that they're looking to get into that they may not have the experience that they would get hired, say automotive specifically. They want to go into auto repair, but a senior or a junior doesn't have that experience. Would they qualify if a facility was willing to take them on and train them?
Yes.
And not necessarily bring them on as a paid employee?
And that would be
Perfect.
that mentorship piece.
Awesome.
Where, I can even think about volunteering, for example, at the courthouse for a student who wants to pursue a law career. Or it could be, both volunteer hours, as long as it has to be a set position and it has to have a set list of required skills. And it has to be in agreement with the employer, which then the student would go forth and collect from them and then propose it to the counselor, who would then be able to approve it.
So then almost like an internship for certain. That's great. That's such a great opportunity.
Yes. So, and we don't have that currently in our high school repertoire, so we definitely would like to add that. My other course that I'm looking at right now is a personal development course. The personal development course, this is part of a larger freshman course that we're proposing, which will be the last one that I speak of. But this course was a course that I started thinking about for our kids who are in our alternative program. Because most all of their courses that they're working on are in an online capacity. And so there was a desire to maybe have something that when they want to break from working online, that they could have a paper and pencil course. It's also possible to put the course online, but it's tied to the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teenagers. And it's a 6-chapter book, and there's a assignment bank that goes with each chapter written. There's also a test that goes with each one of them and asks the students to reflect on their own place where they're at and what they think that they need to do to be more successful and how they can transfer those skills into getting where they want to go.
Nice.
So it looks at, what do you want to do? How do you get there? Draw a line from where you are to where you want to go, and now let's connect the dots. And so our feeling was that we are proposing a course for our freshmen that are coming in, and we want our freshmen or possibly even sophomores who are in the alternative school to have that same input that the freshmen are going to be having, so that when they return to us, they will have gotten that same level of information. And so we're proposing 2 versions of it, one that's going to be in the classroom at the high school and one that's going to be at the alternative program. And my idea would be that that would give me a chance to go over and to work with my freshmen and sophomores that are in the alternative program and have a connection with them, the same connection that we would have with the kids that are on our campus. And that when they're ready to return to our campus, that there's a transition that says, hey, you had to have finished this course. And in this course is embedded things like, what's a credit? What does attendance mean to passing a class? How do I graduate from high school? What does it give me when I graduate from high school? What's the financial rewards of that diploma? Why is it important to graduate in high school? What are all the options that are offered to me? Can I go to EVID? Can I take a class at the CAC? What are all these things that the high school has to offer me? And I feel like we're not reaching our kids at the alternative school and reaching out to them and making a bridge, but also letting them know all these things are still for you. I always tell kids that a mistake, it doesn't determine your future. And so let's get past this, let's do what we need to do, but this is going to be a transition for kids coming back to us. It's geared towards freshmen and sophomores because we really don't have a lot of upperclassmen that are in the program over there. So that's the personal development course. And the only real cost involved in it would be the book, because it can be made into an online program that can be graded in that way. But if the kids want to do it I always use the spiral notebook with my kids, and I just graded them myself when I used this with my kids before in the alternative program. And the final class that we've been talking about, Dr. Lineberry and I both have talked about our transition of our 8th graders to 9th graders. We both have had experiences doing freshman transition when I was at another high school west of here that had 3,000 to 4,000 students in it. We focused a lot on freshman transition, and one of the things that's kind of scary is the number of our freshmen or sophomores that are failing a class. And so we have this idea of talking to the kids about 3, 6, 9, and on your way to success. And so in this class that we're talking about doing, we're basing it on being a prospector and what does it take to be a prospector. And we have 18 weeks of different lessons and skills that we feel like a prospector needs. And the first ones are about learning the school, walking around, introducing them, telling them what their job is, who you go and see when you need this, who you go and see this, because a lot of times students have a hard time advocating for themselves and they're nervous about the big high school. So that's going to be, the first 2 weeks is getting to know our school. And then we're doing a whole big thing with the counselors on credits and explaining to them that it counts in high school, that it's not, you're not going to get pushed through, there's a number to reach, and this is what's expected. And then we go through and we talk about skills like kindness. We talk about friendships, making new friends and old friends and changing relationships. We talk about how to advocate with adults and how to speak up for yourself. And one of the things that right now we're proposing 2 classes of it with about 30 kids in it, but that teacher is going to have the students chart their grades every single week, so that they have to go online and pull up that student view and graph what their grade is and write down why their grade is what it is to give them that. And they're going to have to take that home and be able to speak with their parents about it. But it's an awareness. It's teaching the kids how to make an appointment or how to get extra help in high school. Because I know that in the junior high school, having worked with Reagan, that the junior high schools really go out and, if at lunchtime you haven't come in to make up your work, they're going to call you out and say, come on in. Whereas in the high school, when you're dealing with a lot more students, it really is up to the student to come in and make that appointment. So we're going to be talking to the students about all of those pieces of success. And this is based on something that existed at the high school previously that I was given to by Candace Matlos that they used to use in English. They also did a mentorship program for a while, and it was called Being a Prospector. And so we took those skills, and I'm going to work more with, I asked freshman teachers who wanted to volunteer to put input about what they think should be in the class that will help the students be successful in their class, and then also the counselors about what we need to do and working that. And then we're going to coordinate with Cactus Canyon to ask for students that they think would benefit from this, but also reach out to parents who want to sign their student up for it. And it's geared to be a 1 semester class. And at the end of that semester, they would jump into an elective that they could take second semester. And then any students first semester who did not do well in all of their classes and did not pass everything, they would be a candidate for the second semester. And it really is focused on freshmen only, and a kind of a close relationship with another adult on campus. We talk to them about being in a club, we talk to them about service learning, we talk to them about sports, and trying to make the connections and actually lead the students and say, don't be afraid, we're going to show you how to do this.
That's awesome.
So,
That's really awesome.
So there used to be a class, and it was called like student success or success, and there were kids in that class who would literally say like, that changed my whole trajectory going forward.
Wonder if we can utilize it to help capture more of those 8th graders too, because it sounds like you're reaching out to them in the 8th grade. So it may be something that parents are looking at and saying, gosh, I want my child to stay and go through this and move on to the high school. These are exciting. This is super.
a really big success that we had that I did at a different place was that we had our upperclassmen who had been through the program. They came back and talked to the incoming freshmen. And then the next year when they were juniors, they came back and talked to the new freshmen, and then finally. And the other thing that we did, one of the units that we're doing is based on PBIS. We're not a PBIS school yet, but we can still use the philosophy about, a lot of times with discipline, the reason why students make a mistake is because they don't know. So they need to know what the expectation is when you're in the auditorium. What's the expectation when I'm on the bus? What's the expectation when I'm in the cafeteria? And by being able to have a classroom where we share that information with them, then students are less likely to make a choice and make a mistake, because a lot of what we deal with are just poor choices. And it's not purposeful, but it's like, I didn't know is the comment, or I wasn't thinking. And so that's part of the idea behind this, but also the big part of it is gonna be that also avid focus about college and what are all the things that you can do at the end of your 4-year, and the focus on 4-year graduation, not 5-year, 4-year. And that 4 is our goal for everybody. So.
And that's what excites me the most, is the fact that we're giving supports to students so that our graduation rate in 4 years increases, and we're able to reduce that 5th year. And we have quite a few students that are 5th year graduates that that's taking spaces in some classes because they have to retake classes, and that's what's causing some of our large classes in some of our core content areas.
Right. And the biggest thing is that, you know, talking to the students and making them aware of the process, and then having someone there who is going to follow after them and speak with them about their grades. One more person that's going to say, look, you know, you have to pass these classes, because here's the thing, your senior year, you can get a job. You can only take 4 classes. If you pass all, you know, you want to get an EVIT, you need 10 credits your freshman and sophomore year. That doesn't give you much room to play around, and 2 of them have to be math and 2 of them have to be English. So those are the things that students don't know about, that all of a sudden when they're a junior and they want to apply to EVIT, and then they're like, no one told me, and I would have gone back and made up that math class, you know. So we're trying to look at what the students are wanting. EVIT's a big interest of students, but then also showing them the path that they need to go to get there. And we're lucky enough to get a field trip to EVIT, so we'd like to make sure that those targeted kids in this class, that they get to go. And that also that those students get, you know, all the different, if we get a CAC, you know, field trip for them and stuff, it would be built into that Prospector Way class.
Really
So.
setting up a pathway for success. I love it. That's just super.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah, I feel like that's been lacking a little bit at the high school. You know, like getting that information out to students. Have you gotten any feedback from the students about these?
Well, for me, it's talking to students all the time
And
that
I'm excited
lets
about
me
it.
know. And talking, really, this year's seniors, they are a very interesting group to talk to, because they've been through a lot of change, and they will tell you what was successful at the
That's
junior
good.
high and what was successful at the high school. And they are great, like a great source of like what worked for you and what didn't work for you and what choices did you make. And I've gotten a chance to sit in classes and talk to upperclassmen about it. And so, you know, they know what's going on with the freshmen coming in. And so they're saying, well, we need this, or we need that, or we need more of this. So we definitely, Dr. Lineberry has a Senate that he speaks to all the time. Student voice is a big deal. And also our student council is amazing.
Yes.
And they are also great proponents for including success on our campus.
That's awesome.
So.
Awesome.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
And I brought stuff, but I don't know if you have time for that. But, you know. So, I'm more than
Thank
welcome.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, liquidated damages guidelines for 20